All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, June 15th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Let me click it again. There we go. Subscribe. All right, guys, let's get into it today. So markets here, another surge, right? So up 1.3%, pretty much really across the board. Dow 1.26. SPY and Qs pretty much right there, 1.3, 1.38 respectively. Russell, a little bit more muted. That's only up about 0.5% right now, 61 basis points. Again, big tech show, NVIDIA new highs. Meta making a nice bid here today. Microsoft coming into double tap. Take a look at that, 348. Very close. So there's your all-time high, 349.67. We're almost there. So big move here ahead of OPEX. Hearing a lot of chatter now too, and it's starting to make a little bit of sense here. But why are we squeezing up so much? It does appear. I've heard some chatter lately that looks like that collar, JPM collar, getting front run. You're seeing those kind of calls being sold at 43.20, and those are getting steamrolled. So you got enough people, and let's be honest, that was all over the internet here. So when you have dissemination of information and it gets through everything, too many people front running the same strike or the same game plan, you get these types of moves here. But right now, seeing some interesting stuff going on. Fixed strike vol up, VIX is up 3.5%, actually 4% now. And we're squeezing up vertically. So I think the bears want a shot here. That's probably going to be right after OPEX. We do have a 3-day weekend, so don't forget about that. It's likely that we hold up into tomorrow. But again, this is kind of what we're seeing right now. We're up 7% since the 24th. We're up 20% since the previous month, 24th. So in 6 to 7 weeks, we're up 20% here on the NASDAQ. We're vertical. Narrative has changed. Bulls are completely on board, and anybody who's a bear has been squeezed out. So I think you have a chance here for some bear movement here with this kind of vertical move. You want a healthy, when we get vertical moves like this, it's just generally not healthy, especially when you're already up as much as you are. And we look at the Qs here, and we're coming into these pivots right into that 370, 371 area. We talked about that yesterday. 15.25. Hey, we just blew through that, right? The futures don't care. We're getting a nice gamma squeeze here. Again, 0 DTEs. That's really driving the market right now. If we look at the SPX, blew through the level. So we got the upsloping trend line right there, 4,400. I would have liked 4,400 yesterday for an intraday short, but we didn't get there. We pulled back, and we back away from it when it does that. But through this kind of area, you still have that red bar. So again, there's still resistance in this area, but right now it's kind of a gamma squeeze, and that's the power of options, the power of dealer buybacks. But yeah, we're getting that kind of unpinning nature here, and seeing this vertical move. Now it's kind of a window here for the bears, I think. But, until then, the markets have been holding up really well. We look at the volume here. It's actually decent. We're at 330 right now. We're at 74 million shares, so it's not terrible volume. But, generally we've had light volume, and that does support bulls. But right now we'll see. Markets are up. Next level I really have for you, if we're going to go higher, probably, obviously that 450 pivots right there, but you could argue that this whole area is a supply zone, but we're just squeezing up here on gamma. So when that happens, you can hold up, especially when, like I said, dealers have to cover after, you get put decay, right? If this doesn't play out to the downside, the puts decay and dealers buy back. It's really that simple right now. The realities of the market have not changed. There's still, the Fed yesterday still said, hey, we're not cutting rates next year. The bond market, we look at ZT, 2 years up 2%, or 2%. It's up 11 basis points. And I'll show you the 2-year yield here in a second. And that's still, it's down a little bit here, but, we went into this red bar and we're still kind of just in this area. If you just consolidate here, this will go higher. So again, bonds still kind of telling a different story here than stocks. But again, what matters in the near term is flows, especially when you get into an OPEX. But either way, again, another massive move here. Just, for fun, sometimes I like to look at, I'm not huge on RSI, but when you get this overbought, you got to look at, That's pretty, that's, 77, that's pretty high for an index, especially for the SPX. Last time we were this high was in August. Obviously, that was the top there. Triple Qs here, just amazing RSI, almost at 80 right there on the daily. On the weekly, that is weekly RSI at 76. I don't think we were at that. Yeah, the last time we were at that high was, you got to go all the way back to 824 before that correction there in September. And then spiders here, that's just about to go overbought there on the weekly. So just again, massive extension here in this market, and vol's heading up here. So you see VIXI actually getting a bid here, up 5 cents. And we're seeing that fixed strike vol move. So we'll see. What a squeeze, that's all you can say. But those are really the levels I'm watching. If we do start to head down, obviously any move below, this 4,400 area, or I would say even today's low, is probably going to be problematic here, because when you go vertical, obviously you haven't really built support. We look at that, we have a little bit right here. It's kind of just daily chart support though, so that could last a couple of days maybe. But on the weekly, I mean, there's nothing to say we can't correct to 415, 417. For the triple Qs, there is a little bit of daily chart support here as well, but there's a lot of real estate down to 13.5 if we pull back. So again, we're up into these pivots now. We start to come down. I mean, you have this trend line. If I can draw that in properly, there we go. We got this trend line, which we can extend out. There we go. And then you have this one here too. But outside of that, as far as horizontal levels, there's not a lot till 330 and 320 there. But either way, markets are holding up really well, and we're just squeezing up here. So vertical, parabolic, trend is your friend until the end. When do trends end? When you go parabolic. So again, very cautious here. I'd be harvesting gains rather than doubling down at this point. So just anyways, let's get over here to the Dow, up 1.34. Get through the 343 area. You'll still have some resistance at this red bar high there. And if we look on a weekly, there you can see it right there, that pivot above it. But Dow holding up well, not a terrible pattern here on the DIA. And that is pushing higher here. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this old trend line. But we'll just look at this. We'll just say 347 to 348 now in the near term for the DIA. For the Russell, still think that I can get up into that slow 190s here. It's down today, or I should say it's not down. It's up less than the rest of the market, but this can still push up into that 191, 192 area. See that pivot right there? And it's really based on the weekly. So there's your level 191.74. And that's what I think it can do. He's still kind of just flagging there, so no problems as of right now. SMH, again, inside day, nothing crazy going on. NVIDIA is green, AMD pulling back, AMD down 2%, but NVIDIA holding up well. That's, I think, made a new all-time high again today. But SMH just hanging in there. That is basically into double top, though, going back to 2021. It's not quite there, but, it's getting into that vicinity, obviously. Anyways, IGV up 2.2. Look at Oracle. So, just unbelievable. All-time highs, heavy reversal there on heavy volume after earnings, and just right back up. So new all-time high for Oracle. That is continuing to push higher here. Very overbought, very, lofty in this level here, but when you're at an all-time high, that's that's what can happen. But Oracle right back up. IGV again 2.25, and again coming into these pivots, just like the triple Qs, coming into those pivots from January to March of last year. So that is the area we're watching right now. Dow Transport's holding up. We talked about 15 to 15.2. That can still get there. 15 is your daily level. 15.2 is your weekly level. So right there. All right, so that's what we're looking for there on the DJT, but that's also having a nice day as well. On the yields, we talked about the 2-year. Let's look at the 10. Backing off a little bit, still inside of Tuesday's candle, but it did come back in a little bit here. Still nothing broken with that pattern. That's just backing and filling. 30-year came down as well, but that did come off the lows and basically held that 50 moving average, no problems. XHB, that came in yesterday and then right back up 1.5%. Again, that can still get to, I know I said 77, but I was kind of just generalizing or ballparking, but it's really about, it's closer to 70. It's a 77, 75, 77, 88. And by the way, while we're looking at the 7.5 retrace, before I forget, another level there on the Qs. got hit. So right in that area. So that's where we are as well. So just so that is said, so nobody forgets. But either way, ITB, let's get over to that. So that is up just like XHB again. That, you know, could probably go to double top here. But again, trend is up. Overbought, very overbought, but, you know, got to respect it here. Anyways, VNQ, that's up just 0.25%. Surprise, surprise. VNQ lagging. Still an inside bar. Nothing terrible here. We'll say, you know, if this can push higher, you know, I can maybe see this going to, you know, right into this area here, 85.50, maybe 86 on some overshoot, because you did put in a higher low. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. If it breaks down, you lose that level, then this probably goes lower, much lower. But for right now, it is holding up, and we'll leave it at that. XLF up 1.4. So a nice move, trying to get above that 200 moving average. Still weekly pattern I don't love. You know, if you can close the week above the 50 MA, then maybe we can talk here. But, you know, you can still make a good case that your weekly is, you know, just kind of a bare wedge, right? It's not like the greatest looking pattern here. You know, down move, and you're just kind of inside shop right now. Now, if you get back above that weekly 50 MA, then we can talk about it. But for right now, still just kind of stuck in that range. KRE, that is green today. Not a terrible pattern for a move to 46, as we talked about. KBE, not a terrible move pattern for a move to 39 to 40. Broker dealers, nicely green here today. So we talked about 475. It's just through that now. Next big level is right around 485 if we get through that. So that's what we're looking for there. Let's get over to commodities. We had some action today. Crude up 3.5% on the day. Again, hammering on this. Whoa, there we go. Hammering on this downsloping, descending kind of triangle pattern here. But nice pop there. So we'll see if that can break out of that, then maybe you can get back to 75 here in the short term. If you come back down, this is not going to hold again. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. It's not going to come down, or it's not going to hold one more time if we hit it again. And then you go back down to the lows. If you take that out, then it's down. You'll have a little bit of speed bump support at 60, and then I think all the way down to 50. But energy stocks doing okay. So XLE hanging in there. We did close below that green bar, which I don't like. But we came back up today, so we'll see what kind of pattern this puts in. It's trying to bullish consolidate, but I just don't like when you close below a green bar like that, a power bar, especially when there is volume on it, right? So a little bit of weakness here. I'm a little bit more neutral on it. I don't like the weekly pattern, though. XOP, not terrible, though same kind of setup there, closed below that green bar yesterday. If that can advance, we'll say 135 at the most right now. OIH holding up much better. I like this consolidation pattern on the daily. On the weekly, I think it needs to do more, though. You need to do a little bit more work. There's a lot of resistance there, and you do have a red bar. You're still technically inside of that. I know you peaked above it here with a gap up a few weeks ago, or actually a couple months ago, but you closed back inside of it. It's technically, to me, that's still a inside bar pattern. We test the 20-week moving average today, and we backed off a little bit. If we stay below that, still got to give it a slight downside bias on the weekly. The daily, though, still looks decent right now. Nat gas, big pop today, up over 9%. So through that psychological 250 area, do have kind of a little wedge here where I'm watching. And you're kind of peaking above that, too. Take a look at the volume, by the way. Big time volume there. If we look at the last breakout, or attempted breakout, you know, 182,000 contracts. Today we're at 238,000, and we're, you know, we still got an hour and a half to go before the futures close. So big volume there on that break. And we talked about this: higher lows, higher highs. That's a difference from, you know, you got to go all the way back to November, the last time you had that. So it looks like it's turning the corner here. You get through these pivots. I'm not sure $3 is much resistance. I think 350 is the better level moving forward here, but nice day there for nat gas getting going. Dollar index did come in a little bit, ECB hiking, so that's going to put pressure on the DXY. We'll see what this does tomorrow. This is a pretty ugly looking candle. I want to see what it does tomorrow on the weekly close. You know, if you get a weekly close, if they bounce this back up and close it back above 102.75 or even 102.96, then they can save this pattern on the weekly. If that fails, then we'll look at this. You know, I'd probably have to say, you know, 101.50 right now. And then below that, you know, maybe this does go and test 100 after all. We talked about that for a long time. It never quite got there. It did pierce my double bottom. But it never quite got to that 100 handle, but we'll watch it here going into tomorrow. A lot of the time, especially OPEX week, you get these big fake out moves, and then, then Friday they kind of come in and save it. We'll see what happens here, but DXY coming in, and today's the first time we've done any technical damage since this little breakout. So we'll watch that going tomorrow. If it tells us it wants to go lower with a close below that area, then guess what? It probably wants to go lower. So anyways, let's get back over to gold here. So gold at 1971 tried to break down, and again, so kind of like euro helping out gold, obviously, inverse dollar, etc. Big surge there intraday. So that's up 13 bips. And again, they're saving that weekly 20 MA for now. As long as it stays above that, it's still technically safe. So nice pop there for gold. And then silver here, that's actually on the weaker side. May have a little bit to do with the industrial aspect, right? Jobs number came in this morning, like really cold. I should have mentioned that earlier, because that does signal the labor market starting to crack. That's 2 weeks in a row now that we've had that huge miss on jobs. So silver coming in a little bit potentially has something to do with that, but maybe it's just OPEX related. At the end of the day, we held this green bar low though. Resistance still 2450, 2460. If you close below that green bar on a daily basis, you're probably headed down to 21. Platinum, nice reversal there. I talked about 960. Yeah, it got close, right? So 1965.50, and it's getting a bounce. I wouldn't do anything with it right now, but nice pop there. And then palladium also getting a little bit of a bid. We'll see how that behaves at that 20 MA. If you can't reclaim 1400, then it might want to go lower. So we'll watch this one. And then copper here. Copper getting up to 390, as we talked about. I can still see this going to 393. So that is the level right there. After that, I think this can still have another leg down, but nice counter trend pop for copper. Let's get over to Bitcoin lastly, as always. So that's at 25.5 right now. We had a little mini breakdown yesterday. It's getting a nice bid here in the last 2 hours. It was lower earlier. I think this is at this point, barring a fake out, which they can always do with Bitcoin. They can ram this thing up really quick. I think this wants to go to 23.5, and that's where I would consider even a swing long at that level. So just going to take that. And we talked about this. Been talking about this for a while. There you go. There's your little head and shoulder, trigger, target. Where does it line up? Right on the 200 moving average, right? And you've got kind of, this kind of area here of chop. There's decent like little supply zones right there. That could be good for a long. If it gets down there and it consolidates and bear flags, I don't want it. I want it down there on a straight line, but we'll see how that plays out there. But that's kind of my bias right now with Bitcoin, although it did get a bid today. Weekly, like I've been saying, it's kind of running out of time to move higher, but 23.5 I do like. We'll continue to watch that moving forward. All right, lastly, back over to the spiders here. So we did, obviously, we're just melting up here. And we're just kind of backing off the highs. Be interested to see where we close tomorrow. Do they just pin us back to 4,400 on the SPX? It's certainly possible. It's not that far away. It's only about 0.5%. So maybe they do something like that. But right now, I think we've squeezed up a lot. I think this is kind of the window for bears. If they're going to make a move, you've got everybody bullish. You've got volatility starting to come unpinned. And you got the narrative to change here. So again, we'll watch going forward. Amazing moves here in the market, and we'll have to see where we close tomorrow. By the way, don't forget there's rebalancing tomorrow, so just be aware of that. There's going to be some weird moves, especially in the last hour of the day, so just be careful trading if you're going to do that. Anyways, guys, can wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. Talk to you all tomorrow.